Jaleann is a persuasive digital leader that specializes in turning around mission-critical projects through expert analysis of complex problems of strategic importance. Her deep technical acumen enables her clients to optimize technical assets, including people and technology. Jaleann has had speaking engagements for PMI Atlanta, GHIMA, and the World Congress for Business Analysts. Her expertise is in fit gap analysis, persuasive communications, and servant leadership. Among her accomplishments, she went from mentee to mentor to board member in a period of 1 year at the IIBA Greater Atlanta Chapter. Her clients include the CDC, Vista Global Solutions, Humana, Aetna, Casa Permanente, and Anthem. Jaleann has recently taken a volunteer role as the IIBA Analytics Special Interest Group Global Lead. Jaleann is a distinguished Toastmaster from Toastmasters International, former certified nursing assistant during COVID-19 pandemic, and a public health SME. The John C. Maxwell team is the culmination of a lifetime struggle to harmonize her spiritual gifts with her talents. She is a Christian and talented in verbal intelligence to speak with illustrations to paint a picture of reality in people's minds. We are immensely grateful to have Jaleann with us today to speak on this valuable topic. The presentation was given at a global IIBA webinar that was pre-recorded and will be enhanced for BBC 2025 this year. Without any other delays, let's give a warm welcome to Jaleann McClurg.
Hello, everyone. I'm wondering, you're probably going to say, do I know that person? Well, yes, that person is me. Why I want to talk about this topic is because this topic is very dear to my heart. A year ago, I started to transition from lead BA role to a data scientist, and that's a big role. But I was blessed to know that I had a lot of transferable skills. So my goal is to show all the people that have at least some basic analysis skills, and I'm not talking that you have to be a developer, but at least enough to make conclusions, make decisions, clean data, etc., etc. If I accomplish that by the end of this presentation, I would be very glad that I know that there is somebody in this room that today your life is going to change, or many more than one person, as a result of listening to myself. I entertain questions during the presentation. However, if I sense that the topics are derailing from the subject, I will give you the cue. And if you hear me say this, you're going to say, whoa, Jaleann thinks this is not worthy of discussion. And I'm going to say parking lot. I really want to share with you why this topic has been revamped. And you probably know this. I may not have to give a lot of explanation. Revamped for BBC because during the time when this webinar was presented, and today has been at least a year, that's one. And second, we know that, and this is a big thing, I'm sure all of you know, the tsunami of AI has come upon us. But it's a good thing, at least for the people that want to embrace it, because that is a skill set that you're going to need to help you transition also to business knowledge. I say proxy, but when I say proxy, initially it was proxy as being a substitute in the absence of a data scientist. And why do I say this? Because the shortage of talent of data scientists position the BA to be not just proxy, but basically the second in command or the co-pilot data scientist, because there is plenty of roles to transition to. I have put in here a couple of links that later you will have access to, and some of them may give you some ideas on what to do, what not to do to promote yourself for your career. So why business analysts are perfectly data science. We have the skills that are very important for us to embrace the change. Analytical foundation, the business acumen, and communication skills. No surprise, right? You're gonna say, whoa, why are you saying that? I knew that before in this presentation, but I have to repeat that. And I'm gonna go a little in depth into what do I mean by this foundation and how you can build upon the next level. Let's unveil this overlap of skills because there's plenty of overlap of skills. Problem solving, communication again. Now I added domain expertise and data analysis. No surprise because if you read the BAVAC 3.0, you're going to notice that some of these are actually underlying competencies. Well, I didn't do this with BAVAC in mind, but it happens to align. Now, how you can bridge this gap between that training and upskilling that you're going to have to do is for those of you that have a little less analytical skills than other people, depending on your level, you're going to see that your path may be straightforward, maybe a little more like meandering river, or perhaps you'll be taking off like a airplane by the runway. You'll be kicking off pretty fast. So some of these are statistical foundation, data visualization, machine learning basic, and programming skills. I assume if you are in the BA world, at least if you're not junior BA, you may have some programming skills. In this case, the most well-known programming language is SQL. So you may already know that. So you have that to your advantage. But here I'm citing two open source programming languages, R and Python. I'm going to stop now. I'm not sure if I'm going too fast. You can give me thumbs up, thumbs down, comments on the chat. I'm reading the chat. I have two monitors in the background in case you think that my head is a little tilted. That's because I'm looking at one monitor and looking at the other at the same time. So I appreciate the feedback. And if you want to unmute, ask a question, raise your hand. Please be polite to others. Don't talk over others. But that's perfectly okay. We're in a safe environment to continue to make mistakes and learn how to get better. That's why we're here. Okay. Any questions? I'm gonna make my first official stop of the night. You have questions at this time, you can ask me. You have any question about this gap between, how to have this decision now, later, it depends. The floor is open. Okay, so I guess no news is good news. I'm gonna continue unless I hear some hand trying to say hello, I want to speak. Okay. Okay, so now I want to put a little bit of context as BAs. We always do that, and I'd like to share this slide, which I have created with the assistance of a community that I really like. It's called Super Data Science, but this is a creation of myself, not Super Data Science. And I put this in the context of BA work. So this is the first aha for you on why this makes a big deal. Generative AI is open ask, and that is the capacity of AI to generate content by itself, but not for itself, because it needs a human, an intelligent brain. That's why it's called artificial. Like, I'm going to put a quick example, a very gross summarization of what AI is. Think of us like sugar and the Splenda or Truvia. That it's why it's called artificial intelligence. So I'm going to say, and I'm not endorsing any of these products. Yeah, it's like Truvia or Splenda. Okay, so what you can do with it in the context of data science, you can do code generation, you can do code troubleshooting, and look at this very interesting one. And actually, people pay a lot of money for this, and I actually preview of doing this even before I transitioned to data science. I converted code from SAS to SQL, and now I'm converting from R to Python, Java, C++, you name it. But the important thing about this is, you see, I put this in the core, right? Code generation But you see, I have this cloud called Creative Task, and the other cloud, which definitely is something that I want you to pay attention, is the best libraries, and I'm talking about now the open source programs that I mentioned before, are in Python. That's far because, believe it or not, these libraries are massive, are in the thousands. It's not something that your brain can possibly absorb. I'm still a year in the transition, and I don't know the libraries used for what in the open source library for these. And this is the perfect storm because I'm not gonna give you an introduction of search, but if you like technology, passionate about technology, I encourage you to look at this because there is a critical skill that is inside this evolution. And that is the way that search occurs. Okay. So that opened now the door for us to analyze data that is unstructured. And as you can imagine, I'm not sure all of us get service or call, like I know the other day, I'm not going to say the name of the company for their privacy, but I should say because I was without internet working from home literally for 4 days, and I handled get paid for 4 days doing other type of creative tasks. And of course, I spent some time yapping and calling, but guess what? They're going to have now the bot data that I generated, and somebody must analyze it. And I was having a very petty conversation with the bot because I said I wanted to speak with a human. I actually called that 3 times, and the bot insisted in talking to me. And of course, I noticed I was talking with the bot, and I said, I don't want to talk to you. But to make the long story short, this is important because those queries that we can make now, I call them user queries, they lie at the intersection. And I'm very proud to say this is actually on my sweet spot. Math, which is actually science, and language. So if I cannot even sell this transition to you, I don't know what else I can do for you. I can tell you that obviously there is a lot of earning potential beyond just a traditional BA ballpark. On my current engagement, when they told me what my salary was going to be, I say, "What do you say?" And I say, "Wow, I didn't believe that offer, but it was awesome." So uh, the sky's the limit. Let's just let you know that. Now, when it comes to prompt engineering, these are some of the examples of things that you can do. As a BA, I have structured these in a way that you can consume and understand, but there's one that I want you to pay attention. I'm not going to discuss this because this is actually outside the scope of this presentation, but it's something I'd like you to look at because this can help you save and streamline a lot of the data science work as well as your diagramming work. So there's this little thing called mermaid code. And trust me, guys, I'm going to say this for real. I'm not endorsing Disney either, but it's not the Little Mermaid. It's a computer mermaid. That's why it's called mermaid code. And what it does is actually generates code. And if you Google it, you go to YouTube, you can actually say, okay, so tell me, how do I create diagrams with Mermaid Code? And when you generate your Chat GPT or your Claude, whatever chats, make sure you tell it to give it to you in Mermaid Code language, but make sure to say, give it to me with no parentheses, because if you have parentheses, draw.io does not like it. I'll just leave it for there. That's a crash course for you, something to look at. That's a great thing that I abuse and use it for strategic tasks. I'm not delegating my intelligence to the machine, but I am organizing and I am sequencing things way faster. I wanted to make a poll of these, but I'm sure a lot of people probably would answer if I made the poll that SQL was the first one. But here you can see, according to top programming languages, the number one programming is not SQL. In this list is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. And number one is Python. And no secret that that's language I decided to learn. A lot of the data scientists, just to give you one example, where I am at as a consultant, they're like half-minded in one side or the other, and they say, "Oh, I know a little bit of R, and I know a little bit of Python." Well, it depends on what you want to do with it. I recommend you do your research and decide. But as you can see, if you go by this, if you want to make the most money and you know where you want to go, definitely focus on Python. So I've been programming in Python for a year. Like I said, in January 22nd of this year has been a year. Uh, Enough to be dangerous. I don't want to say I'm a full-blown Pythonista, but I am in the works. Okay. Tools and technologies, you probably heard of these that help PAs equip them for data-driven decisions are the same ones that data scientists are using. Tableau, RBI, SQL again, R, and Python. Surprise to any of you? You gonna make another pause here? Guess not. Okay, so building your data science toolkit with these essential techniques is very important. So why do I keep putting this here to kind of beat a dead horse? Is because mastering this is very crucial. Just to give you one example, when I first started in learning machine learning, supervised and unsupervised learning, I actually, and this is something that Ines did not mention in my bio, but I am double major, so I'm also a geographer. So I learned image processing way before I started doing data science, and then I was statistics is my background, as I'm a statistician and a geographer. So when I start taking this training on all these things, I'm like, wait a minute, this sounds like the same machine learning I'm talking about, classification of images. Oh, okay, I know that they're talking about. But some of these training, you gotta be careful because they go into, if you're gonna scare off into the theory, and you're gonna be like, I want to run something that's useful and stuff. So be careful trying to do that, because if you don't have a foundation, this is highly technical. If you go the way of machine learning, uh, artificial intelligence, as I said, is a little more, I would say, quote unquote, semi-structured, because with all the pre-trained models, you can adopt a lot of the logic that has already been done, and now you apply your knowledge. And I'm going to give you some ideas, applying your knowledge in the context, and I mention again context, for the use cases that you're working on. So that's not something new for you. So the only new thing for us is actually the technology side of it, right? How to make sure that the organization that we're working at has, and I'm going to be technical again, but now in the PA domain, capabilities to do or achieve the goals that they have, right? So if you're doing like me, gap analysis, you'll be able to say, wow, they have all these packages, but they don't have X package. And if they want to achieve X, they need it. So you'll be able to have a seat at the table and say, wait a minute, I did some research and I found this articles talking about this package. Have we thought about considering? And long story short, um, out of one of those research, and I was almost giving up actually, the package that I recommended got approved, and I'm so happy for it. But it took me like strike three to do research, and among all these thousands of packages, learning just what exactly this thing does and trying to understand what is the business trying to do with this big picture, I was able to put all these pieces together. And actually, I report to the architect, the system architect, and discuss with him and say, I'm thinking that this package is going to be useful for us to achieve what we're trying to do, and ended up in the architectural review. So I'm so happy to say that. Career path again, data scientist, data analyst, machine learning engineer. There's also, I should add, this AI engineer. And actually, let me stop now and say something, because this is very important. And I did some research with the Microsoft actually has a business selling certificate, and I was attracted by it because I had one of the people that wanted mentoring, and I didn't have time, so I recommended that. And they actually say that if you work with data and you clean it and you make it look nice and you can tell a story, which I'm sure a lot of BAs know, you're actually a scientist. But when I first started, I tell you this is one of the myths. And maybe I should write an article about this, about being a data scientist. And maybe you're probably scared off because of this actually same factor. So I'm here to tell you, don't do that. If I don't work with big data, this was my myth. How can I be a data scientist, right? So even if your records are 100,000, 10,000, but you can munch it and crunch it and tell a story out of it, by Microsoft definition, you're a data scientist. Okay. Must have resources. As you can imagine, with learning, go to the online communities for learning, professional communities. There's one of the big ones I'm going to start mentioning them is Kaggle or Kaggle. I'm not sure how you want to pronounce that. That is for people that are interested in developing code, not exactly developers, just a little piece of something that accomplished something, but you can see what other people do. You can ask questions. When I first started, I was like, I didn't know how this worked, but I'm going to start seeing some people's code. And then you get, excited and you make time for it and all of that. But there's a progress. It takes time. Okay. Stack Overflow. So of course, when you get stuck and you have stuff that you wanted to do and you don't run it, but somebody's waiting for it, that's a very useful place. I also use Quora. The one that I really like, I should have added there, is called medium.com. In fact, I got a subscription in Medium just to get, and of course, a freemium plan, which is just Google it, right? As we know, Google is a verb. Chat GPT will be a verb anytime soon. And certifications, one that attracted my attention, I'm probably going to be doing more research, is this one. It's called Data Science Council of America, and they have certifications. If you're taking note, this is not my presentation. It's one of the best resources that got me into natural language processing. And I'm going to, at this point, type it on the chat so you look for it. It's called John Snow Labs. And I think if you go to YouTube, and actually if you go to Google them, you can sign up for and this is a big deal, for the summit. They have conferences. Actually, there's one coming up in April. So that's one of the big goodies I'm giving you. If you're like me, into epidemiology and all the public health side of things, there's a lot of history to Jon Snow in, and that's how they got their name. But this is a group by the John Hopkins University, and it's highly great. I'm learning a lot, and I think they record a lot of their stuff is already on YouTube. Okay, so here I kind of did a little more alignment so you can see, side by side, okay, what is she talking about, right? So I keep telling you what I came here to tell you. There's a lot of transferable skills, and you can see side by side, okay, data analysis, okay, that matches with programming, Python and R. Requirements gathering, okay, the algorithm size of machine learning matches with that. Problem solving with statistical modeling and communication with the visualization tools, okay? Stop again, second stop of the night, questions? I guess somebody was having trouble with the worksheet. If you're having troubles with the worksheet, don't worry. I'm gonna put it in a Google Drive so you can access it. But basically, it's like, when you go to school, that's why I made the worksheet. So you take the points, and maybe as I'm talking, there's gotta be stuff that's not in the presentation. So I'm hoping that you can listen and jot down notes, even if you don't have the worksheet available. Try to open it, because that's the best way to kind of jot your mind and to, like, there's things that she's saying that is not here, so you can catch up. Okay. All right. So no, and this is huge, because what I am here to share with you guys is actually a draft of my competency assessment. that I am aligning with the concept of personas in business analysis world. So I call this the evolution between digital BA scientists to the persona profiles. And here I'm going to read a couple of these profiles. If you are in the room, you say, "Oh, that's me." Okay. Junior business analyst. Okay. And here they are classified as a newbie, but in my methodology, they're classified as a sprout. And you're going to see what reason why I call it a sprout. 2 to 3 years experience, a curious analyst, that's kind of your profile, and I'm calling it a scout. Then you have the senior BA, which I'm calling it Vanguard. Maybe I have to change it to something else because I think the name is probably already taken, but maybe I should say Vanguard X or something Vanguard with something else, or Vanguard Pro. And senior data scientist, which is more in the pioneer space. Okay. And the goals here, as you can see, is become comfortable with the programming for the newbie junior BA transitioning to data science. For the curious analyst, the goal is to solve problems using data insight. The senior BA master machine learning models and transition into predictive analytics and handle larger data set. Doesn't say handle big data. So you're going to see that a little later. Just pay attention to that. Pioneer, you lead data science project, build advanced models, and align data science with strategic business goals. Believe it or not, after a year, I'm still in level Vanguard with kind of 1 foot moving to Pioneer, but I'm still kind of trying to. Actually, today I was taking the PySpark training to start running big data jobs, and I'm so excited because I really don't want to keep running stuff on desktop anymore. So I'm almost there, but I still have my foot in Vanguard world. Okay, so this is a more formalized competency assessment. It's very similar, like when you know the competency assessment the IBA has, that they do like a self-assessment, and then with all the scoring, you come up to be this. So in level 1, you'll be a sprout. If you learn the fundamentals of Python and you're in the transition mode to learn Tableau, Power BI, you don't know much about that. Level 2, again, mastering the statistical analysis, machine learning basic. And hear this correctly, in Vanguard, you are developing your expertise, so you're not the expert yet. And that expertise is focused on large language models, GenAI, developing deep learning models, and big data technologies. The pioneer level is when you apply advanced data science techniques to solve complex problems. But hear this correctly, that's what put the big part there. At scale means big data. Okay. And now align this again. I love tables. I'm not sure if you're like me too. Maybe a lot of BAs are the same way, but um, I try to see, yeah, what does this mean, right? Because definitely, where I work, you have architects by my side. I don't have to do all the cloudy stuff and cloud computing, but at least I know what cloud is. Actually, back in the time when I was transitioning, I took all these Hadoop classes, Spark, Yarn, you name it. And I was so overwhelmed. I was like, how in the world I'm gonna learn all of this? If you're trying to figure out, you're probably gonna be like, I'm gonna rely on, the experts that do the cloud world. But it depends what you like. Um, and there's like a buffet, uh, a little recipe for you that you can discover and obviously say, this is aligning to where I want to go next. Or if your goal can be communicating better with the data scientists because you work close to them, then this gonna help you communicate with them better, because obviously, as you can imagine, when you hear them talk in meetings, they'll be like talking on these things and you'll be like, what are they saying? I had no clue. And you'll be jotting down like um machine learning operations, which business analysis very deeply. You'll be like, yeah, you're gonna need first DevOps, data ops for everything. And even for this large language models, there's also a framework called LLM ops. So it's ops for everything, guys. Okay. And you can see here with the competencies I have given you, I align them with each of these levels and give them a level of expertise to each one of them. Okay. The focus of the sprout is on insight, model, and data. That doesn't mean that, if they, get paired up with somebody, because sometimes I think this is one of the techniques that actually helped me a lot. I learned initially, I recommend this highly. I'm going to say this in data camp because in data camp, you're not programming the whole code, you're programming a piece of the code, but there is a space for where they have code alongs, and you can do that. And if you do Coursera has something called the Coursera Project Network. And if you do any of these certificates, like the ones I really like is the IBM. And this guy called Andrew Ng, he has a deep learning AI company, and they explain very well the concepts. Okay, the scout concentrate in defining the project goals, conducting EDA, which is exploratory data analysis, gather data, clean and pre-process data. Any of these sound different to you guys? I'm not hearing any feedback, so I want to make sure I'm not talking to myself. So this is checkpoint number 3. Awesome. Oh, I'm gonna mention this, guys. You're gonna be so excited you are at this meeting. Oh, we have 26 people. Just checking how many people are in the room. You see this little box at the bottom of my presentation called Made with Gamma? Well, guys, let me share this. Don't think that Gamma made my whole presentation, but at least it's some backbone, and then I polish it a little bit. But this is um, a presentation maker with AI. So you can do paid subscription or you can do free. I did free, so I did 8 slides at the time, and then I keep, adding or scribbling and making my own. Um, so I think it's called Gamma app, and that helps you make presentation with AI. Okay, the Vanguard again continued their professional development, and they continue to look for opportunities. That doesn't mean that they have reached to the top. They just continue to learn to solve the complex problem. Okay, guys, I'm almost till the end, but I want to say this. And the future is now, and what I want here to tell you, and I'm gonna be very direct. I'm a very direct person. Is you need to embrace the shift because, and I say shift, not ship or without the F. And I really want you to know that AI will become, I mean, it's no surprise to anyone, a stakeholder. If you go back to articles by the IBA, they actually have an article saying that the next stakeholder you're gonna have at the table is gonna be AI. And that is so true, guys. If you don't embrace AI, I'll tell you that the BAs that have AI skill set will be replaced by those that are like the super BA AI, a magnified version of themselves. So have that in mind because I have, and I'll share this personal story with someone in my team. Their name remains anonymous, but they have their little magic somewhere in the corner in the office. And they were so funny mentioning this in a meeting. I said, yeah, right. Like I also have all my magic hidden in my office too, um, of the AI junk that they're using. So just be careful with that because, if you're using AI, people know that you're using AI. Don't tell people that you're using AI. I'll give this advice to all of you, but don't brag about it because people are gonna start thinking, okay, are they thinking anything of the work that they do? Because that's not nice, especially when other people trying to get ahead just by using AI. But just want to put that word of caution there. So investing in training, and when I'm saying training, I'm not saying training as in money, putting money. Trust me, there is a lot of training that is free. So all you got to do is plan your time, don't get overwhelmed, get focused. What is exactly the skill that my worksheet? I'm going to make reference to my worksheet. Um, you have the transferable skills that you're going to focus and align that with the ones that you're going to gain, the new ones. Okay. It's only three, no more than three. And try to do like I show you in the presentation, align this. If you pick communication, right? In data, just give you a tip. There is the concept of data storytelling. You can actually use that as a skill and you will not have to write the dashboards program. But if you're like technical like me, you would probably be like, okay, I can do this, right? And tell a story. So that's BI is what we're doing. We're fixing a problem for the business. So if you diagnose the problem and you know the pain point of your client or the business, you have a pain reliever, right? Which is telling the story with the data that someone else made for the team. That's perfectly okay too. And most importantly, and I mentioned it and I didn't tease it enough, but I want to mention it because if you're kind of scared off, you're going to say, whoa, this is like starting again. Yes, it is like a new career, brand new career where you be a hybrid of hybrids. Just putting it out there. And you can foster that collaboration with the data scientist. So if you don't want to pursue a transition and you're here in the room, I'm just saying that that's perfectly okay. You just want to acquire the terminology. That's your goal. Perfect. Maybe you'll be a walking dictionary when you go to every meeting and have alignment with the understanding of the terms and try to understand what people trying to say, make it simple, whatever role you feel in the team, that's perfectly okay. Okay, so here are the resources I recommend highly for all of you. Actually, engage with all of them. The top programming languages, which I have already mentioned, the 15 data science podcasts that are worth listening today in 2025. Um, I also want to recommend if you don't have a way that you already know how to talk to the machine, right? It's like I'm sure all of us in this room know how to write user stories. Is how it relates to us. Um, you need to learn because there is a method to the madness of talking to AI. There is prompt chaining, engineering, all of that. And you can take courses. I mentioned it PMI because they are the pioneer. And then if you don't know, I mentioned this also for the record, cited by Forbes as in the forefront of educating professional organization in the future of AI, even before a lot of people started doing it. So you can acquire badges if you are a member. If not, you can pay for a small fee and get just the terminology, the concept. So when you start writing your prompts, you're as intelligent prompt because if not, garbage in, garbage out. If you're not specific, you're not gonna get the result that you want. Okay. You have the other resources. I'm not gonna list all of them one by one. One that I thought it was interesting. If you're interested in vector databases, which are databases that are used for recommendation engines, all other kind of algorithms, Pinecone has this thing called Pinecone Learn. And actually, if you know a little bit of AWS and use AWS services, they are already there, which I was surprised to see them there. So they're not a little player in the space. And if you go to YouTube, you can see a lot of their people talking about their next thing that they're trying to do. If you want to get more familiar with at least understanding the use cases of large language model, how does that fit the picture of data science? Because data science is not just, and I'll say this, about making predictions about the future with all these um, large language models. You can actually um, read unstructured data and do text mining. Do with medical data, you can do name entity extractions of actually concepts that are inside medical notes, for example, or creating structure out of nowhere if you're dealing with customer service data. Like I'll say, like I say at the point where I talked about bots, all this data is analyzed. So it's plenty of data for you if you really thinking what is the next big thing for me. For me, it's actually natural language processing. So that's the area that I'm specializing. And if you're interested, we can chat offline. But there's this little thing I love and I'm learning more. It's called regex or regular expression. Actually, if you program, you know that they exist in other languages, but the best is actually Python because they're highly customized, and it's something for you to pay attention. Okay, so if you want to contact me, this is different ways of contacting me. uh, because you don't know, I'm also a John C. Maxwell trainer, speaker, and coach. And now in March, I'm traveling to get my certification in person. I don't know how I'm going to react because it'll be the first time ever I'm going to meet John C. Maxwell in person and his team. So that's something I'm very excited about. And I also own my own company. At this moment, I am happily employed, but as you know, the picture is changing anytime. Um, and I own my own company, which is Amido Global Solutions. And I'm targeting that LLM, large language model market, UI, UX, and development of API endpoints. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. I'm going to open the floor for questions, answers. New York is in the house. Minnesota's in the house. Florida, okay, in the house too. Miami. I'm reading the notes. Brazil, eu falo português. Is that in there? Texas. Brazil again. Italy, almighty. We're international for sure. And Pittsburgh. Anyone here from Oregon where that plane got upside down? Hopefully, I guess everyone, survived, but some people got to the hospital. We can see that everybody got to see the worksheet.
I believe so. If not, I'm gonna make sure it gets to everyone via email.
Oh, okay. I have a quick survey I'm gonna put here if you're still around. I'm gonna put it for everyone. And if you're interested in getting goodies from me, you can subscribe to the newsletter and also to the community. I have a community in Slack. And by my passion for data, I like to share with the people that answer the information to get their first free thing, which is how to get started if you're interested in Python. It's something that I didn't have when I started, and it took me a long time. So if you would like to get started, it will give you a fast track to just figure out, how can I start learning Python. Um, I'll be glad to share that with you guys. Question? Oh my God, you guys are like Atlanta. You're so quiet. I'm here.
I think we're like soaking everything in and
Uh,
processing. I might have a question. Like, if you were to think of like one baby step, like very like significant baby step to make towards, being a BA and just being introduced to data science, or what we would learn first. I know you showed the valuable languages, and Python was at the top, and then SQL was kind of like six down, and then you had other ones in between. I know all of us also have varying BA work and in different industries, but what do you think would be like a very valuable first step to make if it seems a big, like a very big place to dive into?
I would say the space of dirty data because
Okay.
remember in the presentation when I mentioned exploratory data analysis,
Hmm.
that exploratory data analysis is very easy if you have numbers, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, in a period, I'll say less than 3 months, you can diagnose, dirty data very fast with techniques. But if you have, for example, like the scenario, this is the current project I'm in, the other side of the coin, that's actually why I'm in this project. I'm doing natural language processing. So I have unstructured data completely. And my work is actually to make structured data out of unstructured data. That's what I'm doing. And telling that story. So that combined, because you probably know this, but I'll say it. A lot of businesses have dirty data, and that's why they got all kinds of people with data expertise. It boils down to that the data is dirty.
Yeah, yeah.
That answer your question?
I think so. Like once you start playing with this data, then you, I guess, get a better idea of how you can add value to the data that you're using, on the workplace, maybe. Is that what
Mm-hmm.
you mean?
Yeah, and if you're not, inclined to math, I'll be real with you, and you're more like, like the artistic side,
Mhm.
and you're more in the UX UI world,
Mhm.
you can still be doing like, I would say, a partnership with the person that's doing like the Tableau or the Power BI dashboard. And if
Right.
somebody in your team, like the boss or the lead or the project manager, whoever, says,
Mhm.
I need some extra pair of eyes to pair you up with somebody else, and you say, well, I'm not an expert in Tableau, but I am very interested in help with the design, visual design and appealing, of this dashboard, because when you
Right.
do dashboards, and that's, the storytelling aspect,
Mhm.
you're actually telling a story. But if most people that work with data, is very rare to have someone gifted in both sides, like artistic and be able to talk, what's going on in there.
Right.
That's why, as we know, a lot of BAs are paired up with a very great developer.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. That's
Answer your question?
It does answer my question. Thank you. It looks like Karen has a question also.
Any tip for validating data from AI tools? How do I know it didn't make stuff up or cherry pick the data? Ah, wow. That's me. Oh man. Actually, I'm trying to figure out. I took one of these code logs. Actually, I mentioned this, but I've taken so many. I don't know where it was. But yeah, you're right. There is you know, one thing that a lot of people don't know. If you heard of this thing called agents, um, and I'm not calling about agents as these bots. It's AI agents. Um, it, the the ChatGPT in itself is like an agent, because the AI agent has, number one, memory, right? So if you have a ChatGPT account like me, right? You can tell it, okay, don't remember anything that I tell you, right? And it won't have the memory. If you go at the top, you're gonna see the memory. Actually, mine knows that I have a cat, uh, that I like all this other stuff that I do. Um, but the reason I say that is because they are retrained on all this massive amount of data. So there might be new stuff from this last year that ChatGPT doesn't know at all, right? So, excuse me, don't think that ChatGPT is like the Wizard of Oz. Um, so one way to cross-reference, and I think a lot of the AI stuff is doing that, is by, as you probably seen in the features, is showing the reference when you ask something. For example, the other day I was asking, okay, what do I need for this? I was doing some analysis on products, for example, on specific capabilities, and I had the list that I was looking for, and I wanted like a matrix checklist of check, this is in, check, this is not in,
Yeah.
and compare, right? So I was like, how this is not in? So obviously the only way that you can check is going to the product page, right? So that's one recommendation. In that context, that's how I was. But most of these models now, they're getting smarter, because they're they're actually, it's like when you write a paper. if you was in school, right? You're writing a paper and they say, oh, reference this so and so say this, right? Because it's not plagiarism. Something similar is happening now with the AI.
Mhm.
That answer your question, Karen? Yeah, okay. Now I'm gonna tease you, and it's a little more technical. You can look it up. There is a concept called synthetic data, okay? And what synthetic data is, think of it now, and I'm gonna put my Scrum Master hat in the context of Agile, right? You are creating incremental deliverable in badges, right? A bigger box of functionality as you go along in the iterations, and um, if you're building, for example, a machine learning model to make it to production, that you want it to go to production, you're building it incrementally, but you cannot do like I call it the Big Bang approach and put the entire universe in there. And obviously, as you know, you'll probably break because there's a lot of dependencies. And if that's the case, that's when you recommend as a data scientist, right? Synthetic data. And what that does is you can actually talk to the machine and say, hey, I need synthetic data. And you specify the context. You give it the verbiage for the context that you're dealing with. And you say, okay, generate for me 10,000 records with these columns. Try to say, if it's something confidential, definitely patient ID and stuff like that. If the naming conventions of the company reveal where this data come from, then just say ID, basically, what ID of anything, right? So you're not revealing it. That's called, and there's another technical word I like to use. It's called AI hygiene. Like, all of us go and, take a shower, perfume, and all of that. So that's hygiene. You have to follow AI hygiene principles. And you can use that in the context of synthetic data to get 10,000 records of this scaled down sample. Is really a sample, a statistical sample. It's not representative because it's a machine generated, but you just all your purpose is knowing, okay, is this model gonna work in this 10,000 record? Now I can go and say, okay, give me 1,000,000 or whatever percentage that you need.
I love that.
Cool. Well, how many people are still here? Ooh, 24. You guys want to see the mermaid? I can show you a little bit of the mermaid
Sure.
if you want.
Yeah, that would be great.
Oh, look at that. Michelle's excited. Okay, let's do this. Let's start from the scratch. I hope it doesn't ask me to go in there. Oh, it's in my account. Okay. That's okay. Let's say, well, let's just do this to make it more interesting. Somebody tell me what you want to ask. Righty? Oh, somebody there?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
What we want to
Okay,
ask?
look, okay, I'm gonna say data scientist because now we're data scientists, right? With the AI, we're gonna be instantly an expert, okay? So I say data scientist. And those of you that don't know, I'll show you here. You're gonna see all my memories here. Let's see. Uh, Where's my memory? Oh, I forget now where my memory is. But one of these features, you go and you do the memory. And let me show you here. If you do my GPTs here, all of these are my brains that I use. As you can see, requirements expert, resume ninja, power presentations, yada yada. This one is actually very exciting because I have 1,050 templates with um, all kinds of use. As you see, all the ones that have a lock are from my own personal use. And if you have an account, I only pay $20. You can use your own, and you can go here, explore the GPTs, and you type diagram here, and look at all these. But I'm gonna show you how to do it with a free version, okay? And the free version is like this. Let's go back here to my home, and it's here. Okay.
So,
As a that
Yeah.
yeah.
Could you share your screen also when you get a chance? We can't see.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I
It's
have
okay.
double monitor. You see it now?
No, not yet.
Come. Oh, because I'm not sharing. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm so excited now. Like, wow, a screen one. Okay. I just have to drag it. You can see it?
Yes.
Okay. Starting it. Okay. So, what I was showing in the GPT here, when you have your account, my GPTs, you see, these are my own creation. Basically, I programmed them to work. The ones that you see with the lock is private for me, like this requirement expert, this business template genie, and I do translations. I have one for translation also. But I'm trying to figure out where the memory was. But actually, let's do it here quick. Let's do this and then we'll find the memory. I don't even know where the memory is. We'll find out. Um, as a data scientist, right? What do you want to do? I want to create a diagram, okay, with, look, the following. You don't even have to say nothing else. Column. For sake, I'm going to say step one, step two, you put whatever you want, right? Step three, and let's say step four, right? And say this with no parentheses. Mermaid, cool. Okay, you see me? Okay. Very simple. You can put whatever you want, but this is for the sake of the presentation. Just copy this. This is the mermaid I talk about. Put here, draw IO. Take notes because this is not in in the worksheet. Oh, this is one of the ones I made. So you can see this workflow I created for data transformations. And you see all these steps I made. This is how pretty you can make it. It doesn't make the color. You gotta create the colors. Okay. Um, just you don't even have to say new. Use play. You see here the plus sign. Use the plus sign. Go to advanced mermaid. You're gonna laugh when you see this. Copy paste. And why is it? I should have started a new one because I already had one, but don't worry, I have it saved, so it's no problem. This you see here, the boxes that I created. But here, for example, if I show you this, um, I created a timeline. Hold on, let's close this. Oh, I just want to close this. Leave that. Okay. Create a timeline. See my screen now? You guys see it? So I created a timeline for the transition of the VA with the things you can do in different times. Okay. With your foundation, intermediate, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All by talking to the machine. Um, Let me see if I have some other ones. I'm very excited about the gap analysis, so let's do this. So actually, let's ask the same thing now. As a data scientist, right? We're still data scientists. I want to find capability gaps in my work. Now, I don't know, so I'm gonna ask. Explain step by step and give me examples. Very simple. And it's gonna tell you. Okay. I don't like the bullets, then you say here, edit, and say, I'm gonna say, give me paragraphs and no bullets in concise. And I'm persuasive, so I'll say persuasive style. That's it. And it should adjust. Oh, it's not letting me. Hold on. So you not, sometimes it goes cuckoo. You see that? It should let me. But just put it here. It don't matter. It's still there. Enter. Oh, this is on the way. Enter. Just sometimes it freezes, then you put it at the bottom, copy it. But you can edit the prompts here with this little pencil. And you see, now I don't get any bullets. It's just blah, 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 blah. Now, if you're doing this for work and you're worried that somebody's gonna, you have to read it, of course. There's something called AI detectors. You say, give me a AI detector tools. I say, we see, you can go here also. So you can say here in the Explore GPTs, AI detector. And you will just put that, you see, anti-AI detector here. What people are doing with this is like the store in the Apple Store. They're rating it. So this one has 4.2, and when you use it, and if you have an account, you can rate it. And if you don't like it, just don't use it. But there are some free outside of the GPT store here. You can just copy paste that. You can just do a Google search and put the AI detector. Okay, so now everybody knows what a mermaid is. Actually, you want to do another one? Let me know. Or you want to go 99? Let me know too.
This is awesome.
Yeah. What else you can do with that? You can do. I've used it for Gantt chart, but you have to use the name when you write the prompt. You have to say you want a Gantt chart. It writes plans. It writes anything. I mean, really.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely have been meaning to explore the possibilities with Mermaid.
Yeah, if you're interested in the custom GPT, you can ask me about definitely. I have taken the time and I have written a guide. I have a guide and I also have a course on Udemy that I'm expanding and I'm gonna have my own separate platform. But there is there is a method of adding your your GPTs, but the most powerful thing, and hear this correctly, actually, if you're not connected to me on LinkedIn, connect. There's this thing called Zapier, Zapier.com, and you can do integrations and automation, so you can connect to your Google Drive, and actually, they have more than 4,000 apps that you can connect. Um, so the sky the limit. This use of AI is going to become so pervasive that people are going to have to embrace it. There's no other way around it. That's all for me.